Hey youth, I'm Jordan, and today we're going to continue our series on stress. But before we get started, here's what I want you to do. I want you to focus all of your attention on me. Look deeply into my eyes. No matter what happens, focus on my eyes. Did you stay focused? Probably not. It's hard to stay focused in life when other things are distracting you. That's what causes us so much stress. We focus on things that don't matter. But God says that if we want to fight anxiety, we need to change our focus. And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. But this is just one of the many places in the Bible where it talks about doing what is good and honoring to God. But I want us to think about this verse as it relates to stress. You'll lose if you focus on stress. You know stress is bad. It gets in the way of having peace in your life. But you can't just focus on not stressing out. If you walk around all day saying, I'm not going to stress out, I'm not going to stress out, you're probably going to stress out. So instead, you have to learn to replace stress in your life with other thoughts. Think about it like this. If you're driving, you don't want to hit the car next to you. So should you focus on that car? Probably not. Instead, you're going to focus on the road ahead of you, and that way you avoid hitting the car. Stress is the same way. When you're focused on that stress, it's going to consume you. But if you focus on good thoughts, you won't have stress. God tells us to focus our attention on what matters to Him. Things like loving other people, being a good person, and especially focusing on God's truth. Another way to say this is focus on what matters to God. The Bible uses another picture when it talks about dealing with sin and anxiety. The Bible says to take off your sin just like you take off dirty clothes at the end of the day, and to put on actions that honor God, just like you put on clean clothes. So think about it like this. When you get home from school or soccer practice or whatever, and you feel gross and maybe you had a stressful day, you just, icky clothes, throw them in the laundry, and then you get to put on these nice, clean clothes, and you just feel better. God tells us to leave behind our anxiety and focus on what is good and what is true. Now, we've talked about some of that in our past lessons, things like listening to what God says and what matters to Him. But that can be hard to do, especially when we walk through the doors of our school and we see all these people who are competing with us and we're comparing ourselves to them. That just causes anxiety. But if you focus on those things, you will always have stress. But if you change your focus, you can eliminate it. Remember, when we focus on what God says, we can have peace in our lives.